another fantastic day. Here is Atlantean Gatekeeper, and I am your host, Stefan Palczewski. Truth cannot be told. Truth needs to be found. I hope you did enjoy my previous presentation. There are new developments in all three fields that I mentioned in that presentation, but I am not going to make another segment about that because I want to focus on human mind. In science, the greatest and the only tool of observation is our human mind. Coincidentally, or maybe not, the human conscious mind is also the one that is responsible for every manifestation. But there is more. Our conscious mind is also a tool of consent. Without our conscience agreement to certain things that are happening in front of us, those things won't happen. We need to consent first on the inside. Today's episode is all about one more look at the polar reversal, the magnetic reversal. Why am I doing this again? Because I think it would be a good idea to give you my view, how I see it. I disagree with science, the mainstream science, although many of those elements that they are presenting to us are correct. Some of the events that will take place, might take place, they are only possibilities, and those events won't take place until we consent to that. I already mentioned our mind is the one that is not only the one that is giving the consent to that, but is also the one who is controlling all the manifestations. So if someone is presenting an idea, there need to be enough people, enough mental input into this concept for long enough until that will harden into fact. So whatever they are presenting to us through all the publications, presentation on YouTube and podcasts, in order to take place, we need to have at least, I would guess, 2 billion people thinking about that, visualizing that for at least, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years in a constant mode until certain elements are activated. Each element activates another and another and another. Therefore, as you can see and you understand that the poles start shifting very slowly. At the beginning, it was not much, but now it's accelerating and accelerating more because more and more people are aware or were informed that such thing might take place. Although people understand this as sure thing. It is going to happen. No, the facts that are being presented to you are not facts that are hardened into reality yet. They are needed for us, for every single person on this planet to weigh in. We need to either accept this as a fact that is going to harden into our reality, is going to present ourselves into reality, or it is just possibility. Astrophysics department would probably argue, they would say, no, those are facts, no one can refute that. I can. See, the best example is in the courtroom. When there is a case, all that evidence that is presented in front of the court means absolutely nothing. It is the interpretation by lawyers representing both sides. That's what's important. That's why we have 12 jurors. They decide which story is better. And the same thing goes with what is astrophysics department and cosmology presenting to us today. They are just presenting speculations. They are studying, observing shadows, noise. They are not observing facts. All those artifacts that were studied, they only represent some events that they could reproduce in laboratories and deduct from that it is possible that certain events took place. But these are only speculations, and always speculations. There is one important thing that you need to take into account, which is time. We are still under the impression that time is real. Time is not. Therefore, there were people that invented quantum mechanics, the quantum science, because they understand that there is a problem with that. However, humans, all the people that are working in science, they are trying to be logical, which is a bad idea because logic is very deceptive. But since they are programmed to function in such a way, to present in science, they are trained in science in such a way, they need to use logic. And by logic, they need to eventually, if something doesn't fit, they follow certain models, but if that model doesn't work for them, they try to move the pieces around. And if there is piece missing, they are inventing stuff. So in the case of the magnetic reversal is the same situation. Many of those events, they will take place as they are predicting, even though they are only possibilities, they don't have to happen until everyone consent to that. One of the questions you might have on your mind would be, what is the magnetic reversal, the polar reversal for? The answer is very actually simple. In relationship to where we are right now, it is a reset. All the conditions that we have at present are going to be nullified and are going to be replaced with something new, something different. Therefore, in relationship, I will be always presenting that to you in that way, that anything that is happening has its relationship with everything else that it already is. That's the confusion of time. Therefore, the magnetic reversal is a reset of stuff that we already right now have in relationship to that what we right now have. So whatever will come afterwards in the relationship to where we are, the conditions are going to be different. The reason for that is that we do want to experience something different. In fact, that is incorrect. We do not want to experience something different. We are experiencing something different. Everything that is happening already is and exists. We cannot develop or create new conditions. Everything is, and we can only be aware of certain things when we tune in to that field. Once we tune into that field and our perception, our awareness is very focused on that field, then we are sucked into that field and we are part of that environment, and then we actually experience what is there. Other than that, time is not real, and I will be reminding of that to all of you many times until this become a fact, because it is time to present to you what was once restricted to teachers and masters only. I already mentioned in one of my presentations that what you are going to see here and hear here is not something that can be found anywhere else, because those which are in my group, they already are above that and they don't teach. They stop teaching. They simply they don't see any need for that. They already understand that every single person on this planet is safe and sound. And in fact, the illusion of being individual is just an illusion. We are single focused essence, which is part of much larger body. This is something that can never die, always is. It just has different concept of what it is. That's all there is to it. The best way to summarize what I have just said is to quote an excerpt from a book that was written by Neville Goddard. The link to that book, audiobook, is in description below. This is one of my favorite books.
The circumstances of life are the muffled utterances of the inner talking that made them, the Word made visible. The Word, said Hermes, is Son, and the mind is Father of the Word. They are not separate one from the other, for life is the union of word and mind. and use our inner speech wisely to mold an outer world in harmony with our ideal. You choose life and good and blessings by being that which you choose. Like is known to like alone. Man's ignorance of the future is the result of his ignorance of his inner talking. His inner talking mirrors his imagination, and his imagination is a government in which the opposition never comes into power.
More and more channels are interested in presenting to you all kinds of cataclysmic stories about how things are gonna happen, what preparation you should do, how to avoid this. You need to understand some very simple truth. The attitude of our mind is very important. So if someone takes steps to hide from cataclysmic events, in whatever form it is, building a shelter, building a bunker, that's a failure right there. Because what that person is doing is trying to avoid a cataclysm. Therefore, the cataclysm must be. Therefore, each of those individuals which are actively preparing themselves to shield themselves from all those cataclysmic events, they actually speeding up the process of those cataclysmic events, and they won't survive. In fact, these are people that do not understand the concept of life. The physical form is very temporary. This is something that lasts less than a second, yet to them is so important. I know it was to me until I got smart. Believe me, I was terrified of all those things. I was even promoting the things that are right now floating in the internet because I wanted people to feel safe, and I understand what their mindset is. Humans feel much safer when they do something. Any preparation to hoard food and items is also futile because, again, the mindset is to go against some kind of cataclysmic event or shortage or some problems. That means those problems need to happen. A person who is doing that is already anticipating that the problems are there. They are serious and they need to go against it. As you know, every fight against something in a physical form, because that's what it is when you are hoarding stuff, you are doing the physical act against something that might be short, something that might not be there available for you. This is like the war against drugs, the war against war. It doesn't work. The more they are fighting against drugs, the more drugs there are, and now they are inventing new and better drugs. The same thing with any war that was against whatever, it was always lost, and it's going to be always lost. Therefore, the approach of prepping is the same stuff. Somewhere on the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned already to you that the greatest tool in exploration, scientific exploration, and manifestation is our mind, our conscious mind. Therefore, for those who are scared of that there might be a food shortage, I have a question. Do you remember something called grace? And I am not talking about the religious repeating of some words, just mumbling. Grace is not about that. The grace need to come from right here. It needs to be very authentic. Let's say you are having scrambled eggs in the morning. What the grace would be in that situation? You simply say, oh, those eggs are so delicious today. I'm very grateful that I can enjoy them today. I am very grateful for the chicken that brought them in, and I am very grateful for the farmer that was looking after them. Kudos to you, man. Delicious. Bring more of them. That's authentic grace. Well, you can add other stuff to that, but you don't have to go even that way. Just simple thank you. Authentically say thank you for a piece of toast, for a celery stick, for a tomato, for whatever the heck you are enjoying. Just simple things. This is the part of the brain sends signal to our subconscious mind that we are enjoying and we are surrounded with bounty, with prosperity, with abundance. That's all there is. If you are going to start hoarding breads, crackers, flour, sugar, whatever it is, you are sending the message to your subconscious mind that there is a shortage. You are in need to preserve those things because there is not enough. Every prepper is a failure, every single one. That does not mean that having some kind of supply on hand is futile, because it's not. It is the mental attitude towards what you're doing. That is the most important thing, not the things that you are collecting to preserve. For example, you can set up a community where, as a normal process, you decided to have every excess of your food stored. So once a year, you can have a festivity or give that food away. That mental process that you are engaged in, that you have always in excess, always in abundance, and you have reserve, it is the way to go. Same thing with shelters. If you want to build a shelter, never ever approach this because you want to protect yourself from some kind of freaky cosmic event. That is not how you do that. Simply, the mental attitude towards is, you know what? I never tried to live underground. Let's see how that is. Let's see if I can grow something underground. Hey guys, get community, get 200, 500, 2,000 people. You know what, guys, let's start the project. Let's see how it feels being underground. You know, the summer might be hot. We are gonna be cool downstairs, and let's see if we can grow any veggies or mushrooms or whatever. That's the approach. Not because you have to have a shelter with guns. And Douglas said you need 3 women, at least three, and they need to be 10 years apart, each one. I don't see that he would come out of this alive, but that's just me. Anyway, this whole concept that you need to preserve the genetic material because humans may disappear, it's a complete crap. It's a nonsense to the highest degree, and I am surprised that so many people, so many scientists are falling for this nonsense. Every medieval event that took place is taking place right now, and we can experience that at any given time we want that. There is no restriction. Our restriction is only the way we see the world. When we decided that something is not possible, then it's not possible. To me, not any longer, because I have such a wonderful episodes. One of those amazing events are the things when I can meet a person that in normal situation I could not. One of them was meeting Sylvia Browne. I met her in Toronto, I think it was 95 or 96, right before I had my surgery. That was during her seminar in there. Second time I met her when she was already on the other side. It was in 2020. And yesterday, one more time, in a very unusual way, I was presented with a recording of her monologue. And it's a really nice and important one. I am going to share that link below. It has a very profound and positive impact on me, because finally I realized that whatever she's presenting there, it was also affecting me as well. I am very honored by her presence, and I hope this is not the last time. So, Sylvia, for what is worth it, thank you.
First, the soul is not born in the body. It enters, like a traveler, like an actor into a role. But it is not the role. This is important, because many get lost thinking they are what they do. But you are not a mother, not a husband, not an accountant, not a singer. You are a soul playing these roles to remember who you are beyond them all. Second, hell is not a place. It's a state, a vibration. And you can end up there while still alive. I've seen people whose eyes shine, but inside there is already darkness, because they've become disconnected from their essence. Hell doesn't begin after death. Hell is when you live in lies and know it, but continue anyway.
After watching the whole presentation, I am sure you are going to be better equipped to face what's ahead of you. And now let's continue with our presentation. Polar reversal is simply a reset. Artifacts that are being studied by and presented to their findings by astrophysicists, by anyone who is working in the field of cosmology and any other field, those are only possibilities. And what they are presenting to us, they are only speculations. We don't know if things happen the way they will happen until they actually happen. One of the big boo-boos in their finding is that the ocean is going to go over land. No, it won't go. If there is no magnetism, there is no inertia. So there are three types of magnetism. One of them is the gravity itself. The other is the magnetism that is related with electricity. And there is the third one, which I don't really understand, but they were showing me that that part exists in basalt and granite. Those are the two stones that the third magnetism is hidden, and somehow all those forces are working together and there is no inertia at that point when the poles are shifting. Anyway, whoever is going to go to the next step after that, the memory is going to be wiped out. There is such intense flip in our physical body, those who will survive. Everything is going to reset. The DNA, the nano voltage in our cells, because our cells, every process in our body is electrical. So when that happens, everything goes on and off. So this is like a reboot button, which wipes out everything what was before. In other words, all the cookies are going to be deleted and we are starting fresh with new conditions, new system, new environment. So that is important key that astrophysics department does not understand at all. The people from archaeology do not understand either. The people from anthropology, they do not understand either. Sure about myself, because the way they are presenting those findings, the speculation about Neanderthals, Denisovians, it's incorrect. I will not explain that right now. Neanderthals were not a stupid, brain-damaged people which couldn't build a wheel. They were living in the caves. That is not the case at all. Do we have to experience that? Not really, but this is the way we chose. This is our desire, collective desire. Our collective mind brought this set of rules for this part, and we are inching to the end of that, which means there is a beginning of something new. By the way, those flipping poles are not always 12,000 years or 25,000 years, because in the deposits, in the magma, especially in the basalt rocks, when they measure that, it's every few thousand years. Some are every 5,000 years, some are every 11,000 years, some of them are every 12,000 years. So there is no one perfectly equal time where the magnetic field is switching. And to even bigger surprise, some of the switchings happen over one day, back and forth. That means north switch with south and then flips back to the same position. So it's all speculations. I hope with this presentation I gave you a little bit of peace of mind. Not to worry too much. Remember, our job of every individual is to project the world you want to live from the inside. It is the inner mind, it is the conscious mind that is in charge, not only of exploration, manifestation, experience, and consent. Please do remember that. Stop listening to all the other media outlets which are monetizing on your fear. They are making huge amount of money, billions if not trillions of dollars, for anything that is causing pain, suffering, explosions, violence, that sells, and of course sex. So decide what you want to do. Decide what type of life you actually want to live. If you want to have, and by the way, remember, life is not always going to be perfect. Your set of mind when you are going to bed is really important, because that dictates what you are going to experience the next day. All you have is already lined up for you. And the only thing for you, your duty or obligations are the response to what you are witnessing or experiencing during the day. I cannot protect you from negative stuff happening around you. It will, and it's going to be happening more often and in much more intense ways. But my duty, my job is to give you an insight on what is the mechanism, what is the greatest tool at your disposal that you can go pass by those events as a only observer without any attachment. Don't get personally attached to any pain or any missing persons or any violent events. Don't dwell on that. In fact, if you are really in the position where everything like that is affecting you, do revisions. But revisions means run this event in your mind, but this time you invent how that event ended. Rewrite that whole incident into something very positive. You will see your life is going to start changing. And right now people are so much focused on the external, the shadows in front of them, that they keep forgetting that the shadows are already byproducts. They are not even events that they are worth paying attention to. It doesn't matter if it's the new government or taxes or anything else. You are too late. You cannot change them because they are already there. The only thing you can change is your response to them. And if you want, I want you to know that I am not perfect. I have dark moments in my life too. And usually I do change that. How am I doing that? Listening to music, watching something that is really uplifting. This is what you're listening right now is one of those things that I enjoy a lot. On my desktop, as you can see on the right side, I have a bunch of shortcuts that takes me right away to a music or something really uplifting. And if you want tomorrow to be much better for you, you design your tomorrow today before going to bed. That's how this life works. And I will be working around this through the future presentations. And I will be presenting to you the NDEs because I am sure you want to know. And I will bring to you each episode and give you some feedback with that, not to criticize the people and telling that they are wrong, because no one is wrong ever. Then we are going to see why the people are missing in forests. What is behind that? This is an interesting subject, and there is a very simple explanation for that. Not all missing people are for the same reason. Some of the people are simply, they don't want to be found. And then there is the Sasquatch. What the relationship to those missing and to NDEs, because there is a relationship. And then, of course, there are the UFOs, which connect all of those things, which is leading to another subject, frequencies, which enveloped all that. But this, step by step, we have at least 500 episodes to go through that. So thank you, and see you in the next episode.